Hey, I'm Dave, your RONA expert, and today I'm going to walk you through installing a barn board wall. But we're going to step it up to the next level by installing it in a classic Chevron pattern. Precision is the name of the game, and we're going to have a lot of cutting and measuring to do, but I'm sure you'll agree, it's pretty straightforward. Let's do this. Here are all the tools we'll be using. And don't forget these, your safety glasses. And remember, all of these items are available at your local RONA store. Before starting, you can remove your wall's molding. It's optional, but in this case, the installation is going to take up the whole wall. Use an oscillating tool to cut both ends. This will make it easier to remove. Next, use an X-Acto knife to cut through the latex caulking that's holding it in place. We're ready to start. Since our installation is in a chevron pattern, measure the wall to find the center and then use a level to draw a guideline down the middle. Since it's rare for a floor to be perfectly level, my expert tip is to figure out where your floor's highest point is. This could be on either side of your center line. Use it as a starting point to ensure that your design is level. There's probably going to be a little bit of a gap at the bottom in certain places, but don't worry, we'll cover that up with molding at the end. Cut your first two planks. The planks I chose come in various lengths, so I'm going to cut them all to a length of 4 feet. I chose to go with a 30-degree angle, but you can change the chevron slope. It's up to you. Following your central guideline, install your first plank. Make sure the tongue is facing upwards. Don't forget to place it according to where the highest point is. Nail it in along the tongue at an angle and make sure each nail head is flush with the board so they don't get in the way of the next row. Put a little bit of glue on the joint to strengthen it. Next, make sure your second board is perfectly aligned with your first board by following the guideline. Now use the ends of these boards as markers and create the other two guidelines using a level. To calculate the size of the shorter planks, line up a plank with the corner by placing it over the existing one. Mark the plank according to your guideline. You now have your new dimension. Maintain that same angle, 30 degrees in our case, cut it to size and install it. Here's a tip: make the new cut on the side facing the wall. Now we're ready to install the rest. Always start in the center and make sure that everything is level. If you have trouble getting them to fit properly, lightly tap them into place with a scrap piece. If things start to be a bit off-center, keep assembling and rely on the center joint created by your planks. It won't be noticeable in the end. The last few planks are a bit of a challenge because you'll also have to calculate the angle needed to fit them with your floor or ceiling. First, measure the required length. Next, take a scrap piece and line it up with your center guideline. Then, take another plank, place it against the ground, and trace the angle you'll need to reproduce. Cut the plank along your newly drawn angle and use it to trace the correct angle on your full-length plank. Remember, because the planks are grooved, measure along the surface and not the edge so that the tongue and groove edges get placed in the right direction. Reuse your new template for the other boards. You'll just need to change the length measurement. For the other side of the wall, you can just reverse it. However, if your floor is really crooked, you're better off repeating the process and double-checking that it fits before mounting anything. As for the ceiling, you may need to cut 2 different angles. To do so, measure the height between your last plank and the ceiling and mark it on your plank. Use the same process as before to find your angle. Then measure the correct length of the plank. You now have both lines that need to be cut. The angle next to the wall is always 30 degrees. Keep going until the wall is done. For a nice finish, you can add a piece of molding. And there you have it. The chevron pattern is a classic, and I'm sure these new skills are going to help you with tons of your future projects. Now please, like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment and let us know how your project went. And check out our other videos. Until next time.